Well, good Thursday afternoon, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Sorry, I'm a little bit covered with sawdust because I'm out here in the workshop working and things, but I just saw something that actually made me feel good. You know, I'm a guy with a day job and a voodoo doll, okay? I'm a carpenter. I work with my hands, okay? I mean, you never know where you'll see me. I might be inside of a sewer pipe and dealing with some shit and all that kind of stuff. I'm not an expert, ESPN guy or, a guy who's a scout or working for an NFL team. I'm just Joe the fan and stuff. But from time to time, I seem to get a few things right. And I remember a few years back, I'm old. I'm 56 years old now, same age as the Super Bowl. I remember talking to one of the young gun YouTubers. And, again, being older, I have a different look, a way I look at things as opposed to others. And I was talking about 12 personnel. 12 personnel means the 2 is 2 tight ends, 1 running back. Okay? Now, generally speaking, that's a run formation, right? It's a run formation because you got heavy. It's like a jumbo package. It's short yardage, or we're going to run down your throat. Typically, okay? But I looked at it from the standpoint of saying that we can be actually very dynamic out of there, and you could use that as a base package. And this other YouTuber was like, man, I don't want to ever see 12 personnel, man. They could throw that shit away, man, because, you want to have 3 wide receivers out there. And I was like, okay, I get what you're saying. But see, here's the thing about football is making them try and figure out where you're going to be. Because when you look at what Dalton Schultz is doing and Blake Jarwin, they're like receivers. It's not taking a receiver out of there. This allows you to come out in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, and see what the defense does. If the defense says, okay, we're going to put 8 men in the box, then you go ahead, you got CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper on the outside. You got one-on-one coverage. Great. I'll take that every day of the week. I will just light the ball up. Or they don't go into it, right? They have extra D-backs. Well, you can move one of your tight ends, split him out wide, and use him in pass coverage, or run the ball right down the throat because they don't have a heavy package. It allows you to basically put them between a rock and a hard place. But like I said, they said you're an idiot, man. That's old school football. You don't want to be doing that shit. Well, it turns out the Dallas Cowboys are doing it to perfection and using the hell out of 12 personnel. So let me pat myself on the back. I'm actually going to play Skip and Shannon here and let them describe exactly what 12 personnel is. Let's go to the tape.
Than anyone else in the league right now. Shannon, you are a Hall of Fame tight end. Why is this so successful?
Because it creates very favorable matchups, Skip. How do you want to play it? Are you going to play it with your base personnel, which means you're going to leave your base personnel, 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 4 DBs on the field? Or are you going to come in with another big? Or are you going to come in with an extra DB? But, Skip, the thing that we did out of this a lot is that we opened the formation up. So instead of being 1 tight end on one side, 1 tight end on the other side, Mike would split me out. So now, do you really want a linebacker covering Shannon Sharpe? Do you really want your safety dealing one-on-one with Shannon Sharpe?
How much did you use 12 personnel?
We were heavy 12 personnel.
Really?
I would probably say 55, 60% of the time.
So you had 2 tight ends 60% of the time.
Easy. We were heavy 12 personnel.
And who was the usual other tight end?
Dwayne Carswell.
Okay.
We called him House.
Yeah.
And so Skip.
Was he more of a blocker
He was
than
more
a catcher?
of a blocker.
Okay.
But he could catch the ball. So a lot of people thought of him as a blocker because eventually, Skip, they ended up moving him to tackle.
Yep.
So that just lets you know how great, dominating of a blocker that he was. But he was a more than an adequate a guy at tight end that could catch the football. But they could do so many different things with me. And also, Skip, what it allowed you to do is that it gave you better protection against pass rushers.
Yep.
So now there were no short corners. So now it pushed your linebackers even further away from the quarterback. So we were protected against the rush, and we gained an advantage on you as far as throwing the football. And if you notice, they throw a lot out of this because you got two guys that are very good. So how does the defense? What do they want to do with it, Skip?
Yep.
Do they want to say, you know what, we're gonna play this base? Well, if you play it base, you're asking your linebackers, your safety to deal with these tight ends. These tight ends are very good. They're not. In today's tight ends, there are not very many blockers. Everybody just want to be able to get their tight end, get the favorable matchup. So we were a heavy, Skip. We were a heavy 12 personnel because it allowed me. I was out wide. I would line up with a split in a flex formation in the slot. But we called it tiger personnel, Skip. So when you come on the field, we got the tiger paws up. But the thing was, hey, I love that formation. I love that formation. O'Shea made his name, cut his teeth in that formation.
Okay, guess what? I love it too.
I bet you do.
Guess what? It has changed life in Dallas, Texas for the moment. Now, will people start to figure this out and even the playing field?
But that's the thing, though, Skip. How are you going to play it?
Yep, I got it.
It puts you
So
between a rock and a hard place.
Shockingly amazing about this. We went into this season ahead of Dallas having to go to the GOAT, to Tampa Bay on opening Thursday night. The debate was, did the Dallas Cowboys now have the three best receivers in pro football?
Right.
Are their three maybe even a little better than
Tampa.
Brady's three? That was the debate.
Right.
And right on schedule, what happens? A Cowboy thing happens. As you say, Cowboys do Cowboy things. Opening night, they nearly won, but they didn't, and they lost one of their three.
Right.
Michael Gallup is down, and he's out with a pulled or torn calf.
Right.
He's still not even scheduled to practice as we speak, which scares me to death about Dak's calf, but that's a whole other issue. We'll wait until next week to see how it starts to unfold. But the point is, all of a sudden, I don't have the three best receivers in pro football, and I'm thinking, I'm in trouble. Here we go again. Not meant to be. And they fall into 12 personnel.
Right.
Almost because they say, well, we don't have any other choice. They're starting to use Cedric Wilson, who's been way better than I thought as a slot receiver, but not always.
Right.
Most of the time, they're going with the two tight ends. Well, is either one of those tight ends a Kelsey or a Kittle?
No.
Are we talking about a Gronk or a Shannon Sharpe? No, we're not. We're talking about an undrafted free agent once upon a time in Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz, who was a fourth-round pick out of Stanford. They're both pretty good, but they're not life changers, right?
Right.
But if you put both of them in together, and they use them differently, they're like joined at the hip a lot of times, where they'll line them up kind of hip to hip off the tackle, and now you have to commit pre-snap to the box. What if both these guys do decide to block? What if Zeke is running downhill behind both those two guys off the tackle?
Yes.
And with Zach Martin at left guard, right?
Yes.
Well, all of a sudden you're like, we better start loading the box a little bit here.
And plus, Skip, it allows you to identify what they play in man zone. Because if you split Shannon Sharpe out and they walk a safety, they walk a linebacker, that's man coverage. If they leave it like it is, more times than not, it's going to be zone. So it allows you to dictate what they're going to do coverage-wise. Because now I know what you're in because I can see how you're playing my tight ends.
Okay. So not only are they utilizing this, they are flat out dominating with it. And I don't want to get too X and O heavy here because people just check out on this. But just so you understand what's happening right now, in this football season through 6 games, other teams are averaging 82 yards a game in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. 82 yards. Dallas is averaging 165 yards, by far the most in the league with 2 tight ends on rushing the football. Other teams are averaging 37 yards per game running the football with 2 tight ends. Dallas is it's at 91. It's like almost 100 yards a game rushing out of 2 tight ends. And as Bob Sturm writes in The Athletic, that is an insane brand of dominance. They're just dominating. And just don't lose sight of the fact that going 12 personnel heavy, 2 tight end heavy at New England against the great Bill Belichick, the mastermind, the guru, the greatest defensive coach ever. They put it, I know they had an overtime, but they had 500 yards in regulation.
Yeah.
They wound up with 567 total yards against Bill Belichick. And Dak obviously threw for 445. And much of it was 2 tight end heavy.
Yeah.
Something is going on, and we fell into it. It's like heavens opened and let there be 2 tight ends.
Right.
Because there's no way. If Gallup stayed healthy, they're not going to go 2 tight end heavy.
And sometimes, like you said, you stumble into it. Mike felt that our best, we was a lot of 21 skill because we did have a fullback. Howard Griffin did a very good job of blocking for us. But Mike just felt that was another way for us to be able to dictate what they were going to do.
Yeah, we have a fullback. We never use a fullback. We just don't.
We use Grip, but it was a way, Skip, because like I said, I lined up at the end of the line of scrimmage a lot, but Mike didn't have a problem putting me out wide and letting me run routes. Yeah. Just like he would ask Rod and Ed to run routes. And so we could dictate what we wanted you to do. How are you going to do it? We go double tight, Skip, and TD, we balance it up. You didn't know. We running left, we running right. Okay, they're going to run the ball. Which way, though?
Okay. So thanks to 2 tight ends, neither of which will remotely make the Pro Bowl. I don't think they'll ever make a Pro Bowl. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I doubt it. Thanks to those 2 guys, undrafted 4th round, we have the most explosive offense in pro football as we speak. And
you see a lot of time on 3rd down, he's throwing the ball to Schultz. He's throwing the ball to
He loves to throw it to him. He's like his security blanket.
Yeah, that's a very. I'm surprised more teams.
Okay, that's enough of those guys. But here's the thing. They keep talking about, Schultz, they'll never be a Pro Bowl or anything like that. That may be true. But I got to say, because I talked yesterday about Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz is the 4th leading yardage tight end in football right now. He's averaging 11.6 yards per catch. He's on pace for 1,000 yards this season. Not exactly chump change as far as tight ends go, but this goes back to where I feel really good. I feel good about 12 personnel because, again, the way I saw it was you can be very dynamic. I remember a couple of years ago when we played against the Rams, they came out in 12 personnel, Zeke Elliott in the backfield. They motioned him out of the backfield. Then they split Dalton Schultz out wide, and you had Jason Witten that was in there. All of a sudden, this is 5 wideouts where you started out the play as 12 personnel. So if a defense is loading the box up, they're loading the box up with 8 men in the middle, you go ahead and say, you know what, we're going 5 wides, and we're going to challenge your linebackers to be able to stop them with 8 men in the box. And this is the thing that's great about doing this is because you have such dynamic players that are there. Your offensive line is basically able to take care of almost anything to the point where you don't necessarily need your tight ends to be that heavy blocker all the time. So you can use them, boom, in these routes, and Dak is good at getting rid of the ball quickly, recognizing the mismatch and getting the ball out. I just feel vindicated about 12 personnel and how good the Cowboys are with it, that they're literally more than doubling the league average on it. And shout out to Kellen Moore for recognizing and being able to use this, to the next level. And so with that being said, the way we roll here. It's time for me to get up out of here. I can at least say, Philly 500, you the man. Cop Pizzle, you a biatch. Oops. Didn't work, did it? Hold up. Try that one more time.
Here, and so before we start this video, I gotta get this mother humping thing out of the way. Mark Holmes is my daddy.